Are we
No, yeah,
starting
you're
already?
fine, bro. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
you're good, man. And
Yeah.
then as far as like the food, you gotta like get what, a food handler's license?
Yeah, no, we'd have to do the whole spiel, dude. Like, I'm not too sure what it all takes. I know obviously you have to get permits through the city, the health department, the county, and then not only that, but then the build out of the kitchen, right? The build out. I was talking to Robert, and he's saying that just the vent alone is like 15 grand, dude, which is kind of crazy, but because you could build a home kitchen for 15 grand, you know. So the fact that a commercial vent that every business needs that serves food, it's going to cost 15 grand. I can see why a lot of people don't serve food, you know, like a lot of people stay away from that industry, you know, because it's so expensive, and then the return's unknown, because if your food sucks, or if your drink sucks, or if your service sucks, then you're shit out of luck with all that money, you know.
Yeah, and you have to sell a lot more. Like for coffee, you have to sell so much coffee to make a profit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, I think coffee is a whole different animal though, man. But we had an employee here once that worked for Starbucks, and she was saying that those dudes, the one store makes like 50K a week, dude. So
I honestly, I feel like they make more money selling the data from their Wi-Fi than coffee. That sounds like a conspiracy.
No,
know,
dude, it's yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Because you accept the terms,
yeah.
And then it's like whatever you're searching, like they just take all that information and then they just sell it to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
we're just disguised. I always felt like Starbucks, once they added the free Wi-Fi, like now we're just disguised as a coffee shop to just bring everyone just free. That's just like free money for them.
I saw a video that said that Starbucks isn't really it's more of a bank than it is a coffee place. Did you guys see that
Roman
one?
told me that.
Because the way they do like their online purchasing is that you fund money into your account, and then that money stays within Starbucks. But then they have so much of it that they can literally like invest it and do other things with it, and then they just kind of repeat that cycle, dude. You know, and that's exactly what banks do. You give them their money, they put it into assets, into properties or to the stock market, and then they just generate more money. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it, dude. Like what actually goes down in these big companies, So
definitely, Target does the same thing too.
Yeah,
we're just over here. Cards, and then everyone just goes there just to buy whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, man. So I'm glad you came on, man. I appreciate it. You know,
thank you guys, man.
The one thing that stuck out between for me and Roman was that, like, you actually messaged us one time, like, hey, someone offered us a free video, like it was a gift, and you're like, I just want to let you know, like, just to be courteous. Like, you didn't have to at all. And we get a lot of other business owners, like, they don't really communicate, not to like make fun of them or talk bad about them, but it's like once you messaged Roman and I, and it was like we kind of seen you in a different light, like a respecting, like, yeah, we appreciate you actually texting us that, or letting us know that.
Yeah.
And that was something that we're like, okay, like, we appreciate you doing that, and we kind of felt like, oh, you actually do care about us, instead of like, I need a video, let's get it done, or just ignore you and go with the cheaper videographer or something like that.
Yeah, no, dude, and that's one of the biggest things that we learned early on, is you have to respect not only other people, but other people's times and other people's professions, right? And we did get a video gifted, but we were already talking about doing a video together, and we were in. We just had to get a little bit more money, right? Yeah. And so we didn't want you guys to think like, oh, these dudes said fuck us, like, they're just throwing us to the side and just gonna go with, like you said, the cheapest bidder, or somebody that is gonna hook them up or whatever, right? So we just wanted to make that clear. Like, we believe that there's enough business for everyone, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And just because like you come to us to throw axes doesn't mean you can't go to Yosemite. It doesn't mean you can't go down the hill. Like, we're not going to be bothered by that. But I understand that there are some people that would be, and so we always believe in like maintaining that clear line of communication, so that way like there's nothing's taken out of context, or nothing is made to be what it's not. So we're really big on that, dude. And
is it bouncing? All right, man. Drive safe, guys. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
See ya.
All right, see ya. And it happens a lot where it's like they'll just ghost us, some clients or some potential clients ghost us, like, we're gonna hire you, like, I'm in, and then when you follow up with them again, they're just like ignoring you,
Yeah.
sending you to voicemail. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a sour feeling. You know,
Yeah.
it's business, not personal.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's always hard to separate like it's business,
Yeah.
not personal.
Yeah.
Because they usually, 90% of the time, they always come back. Hey, I'm ready for that video,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like, oh, I didn't just ghost you a year ago. And it's like we remember, but you know, it's business. Like,
Yeah.
fine, like let's
Yeah.
let's work together.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so it's and at least for me on my end, you know, like, or for Roman and I, like the pros and cons of working with a lot of business owners is you get to see them grow, but you also get to see them fail sometimes, which sucks.
Yeah.
And one example is with Mario, the other, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I remember I met him at a networking event, and he was like, "Yeah, I do the like axe throwing in Hesperia."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I went over there, and he wanted to do something too. And then, you know, like, you know, money started getting tight. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, we'll wait until. And then he had mentioned that you guys were growing out here too, like, or you guys were posting that. Like I remember seeing like just you guys building. You know, like you guys were promoting like, hey, we're about to be in Apple Valley. So like I was like, oh yeah, like how is that gonna work? Is that the same? Is it in the same field, or does that like, are you worried kinda? He was like, no, you know, like, you know, there's enough for everybody. And then once his went under, not blaming you or not even like, for whatever reason, you know, just seeing that, I'm like, fuck, man, like, it's just a bittersweet working with these business owners and then them failing. Or even, I know that's probably a bad example, but
No,
that's
no,
like the one thing.
Yeah.
And then I know that you guys, I believe you're good friends with him now?
Yeah.
Or like
yeah.
always been?
Yeah, we talk. Yeah. Yeah. He's a super good dude. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then when I seen him here, I was like, oh, shoot, you know, it's a good feeling. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I've talked to Mario a few times. Cool dude. And it's kind of crazy how we found out about them because we thought, so we filed for the city permit November of 2021. And I found out that there was another axe throwing venue that had started. We filed for our permit November 24th, 2021. They opened November 20th, 2021. So 4 days before we filed for our permit. And it was a lady at the front desk at Apple Valley, at town hall, that told me like, oh, are you opening up another one in Apple Valley? And I was like, another one? What do you mean another one? She was like, yeah, one just opened up in Hesperia. And I was like, you're kidding. Like, we thought we were going to be the first to do it up here. And so I look it up, and sure as shit, like they're open, and I was like, damn, they beat us to it. But like Mario said, I still believe that there's plenty of room for another axe throwing venue, maybe even two, because people are hesitant to drive, right?
Yeah.
Like people don't want to come all the way from Oak Hills all the way to this side of town, vice versa. People don't want to go from Apple Valley all the way to Oak Hills just to try something, right? So I still think there's plenty of room for growth. But to your point about seeing business, yeah, it sucks, dude. Seeing a business go under, like especially running a business now, that's like everyone's worst nightmare, dude. Is not being able to continue to thrive, and that's why you just have to be strategic with like everything that you do, whether it's finances or marketing or payroll. Like there's so many things that could just bring you down, and if one of those things isn't dialed in, like it's game over, dude. You know. So, but at the end of it, like it all boils down to like the service you provide or the product you provide, right?
Yeah.
Like one thing that really stuck out with you guys was that when we were talking about like doing a video together, what you guys took time out of your day to come over here. We didn't know. I mean, we knew that you guys wanted to come and meet, but we didn't know that you guys were gonna shoot like a free little video for us. And it was just a drone shot, right? But we thought that was the coolest freaking thing ever.
Yeah.
And we use that. And to this day, I think that's like our most viewed video on our social media. And it's just a drone shot of outside, right? But I think that like you guys are providing that service, like, hey, let me show you what we can do, is what really resonated with me. And like that's we were like, all right, now we got to work with these guys, because not only are they like genuine and kind guys, but like you can see that their work is really, really good, and
thank you, I appreciate that.
I thought that was super cool that you guys did that, because that's to me, like if you have a product or a service in the beginning, you might have to give it away, right? You might have to send, if you're selling hats or whatever, you're probably going to have to send a good amount of hats out just to get the word out, and people are going to feel the quality, see the craftsmanship, how they're built, whatever, and then that's going to spread word of mouth, right? So that's actually, I don't know if Pancake Plug ever told you that we had a conversation here once, and then we told them like, oh yeah, Huntington, They're the ones that filmed like our video, this video, and then they really liked it. So
yeah,
shortly
Andrew,
after that, that's when I think they started they worked with you guys too.
yeah, I think Andrew
So
had mentioned like it was between you and Clave because you guys are all connected for some.
yeah, some
There's
way,
a
shape, or
triangle,
form.
man. I'm
yeah,
like, what the heck? Like,
yeah, dude.
You guys are, well, at least they're neighbors, and then for you, it's like way out here.
You're
But
way out here, yeah.
but I mean, I know like you guys can all connect definitely.
So it's social media, dude. Social
Yeah.
media, in an instant, you're talking to someone, you know.
Yeah, and then
But-
what were you saying?
No, so yeah, we were talking once because we were trying to get like something going, like a promo for Valentine's Day, and they came here to just kind of check out the spot and for us to talk a little bit more. And I think this is right when we had just done what video did we do with you guys? It had to have been the tournament, the Desert Valley
foundation.
tournament. Yes,
Yeah,
the Desert Valley Foundation. They shortly after that, you know, they came and we told them about that video and our experience with you guys, and I'm not saying it was us that did it, but I imagine it had a little bit of influence, you know.
Yeah, thank you. We
So I thought
appreciate it,
that's
man.
pretty cool because you guys are just great to work with, dude. You guys are like
Thank
down
you.
to earth, and you know, it's a win-win for everyone, dude. We get really good content that we could post like for a month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months, and you guys get that, you know, that exposure as well. So it's good that everyone, we all build like that hand-in-hand relationship, you know.
Yeah, I
So-
feel like a lot of businesses they prejudge us like, oh, they're with the price, and that kind of like just scares them from even having a conversation with us. And it's like, you know, maybe if we have a conversation, then maybe we can work something out. where it's like,
100%. You have to build that relationship first, you know.
Exactly.
And price is always like I've grown to learn that before we even like start talking to anyone when it comes to like marketing or wood or whatever we need, like honestly what it's going to come down to is just it's price, right? But as you build that relationship and you build that friendship with companies, right, then that's when that can start potentially coming down, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's massive.
And-
But yeah,
and-
people do shut off. Like they hear a certain number, they're like, "Oh my God," right? But they don't see what that's going to do for them in the long run. They don't see what that's going to bring in, you know, 3 months from now, a month from now, whatever it is.
Yeah, and to play devil's advocate, you know, sometimes, like, let's say if I were to start off doing this, like the business, you know, just seeing you, like, it's only 600 or whatever price it is, like, you just spend it. But you as a business owner, you know, you have to budget, like, okay, yes, it's 600, and I do understand the ROI later on, but I might have to pay this employee, or it might be slow. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't build that relationship, then we're not gonna have an open conversation where it's like, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of slow right now. So I can
Yeah.
afford you, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to save it for a rainy day.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, you know, on both parties, you have to have good communication
Yeah.
with these business owners,
Yeah.
or vice versa, whoever it is, whatever service you're doing.
Yeah.
Then you also feel bad sometimes, like, I want to hire them. Let me just hire them so like they can get paid. You know, it's just something that's like, can't explain it.
And-
I'd say open, as long as you're having open communication. And some people, some other, I wouldn't say other videographer, I don't want to talk bad about anyone, but other people that, you know, serve whatever service that they provide, they really don't have like any social skills, so they don't like know how to do it. It's like, I think my service just sells automatically, so I don't need to build that
Yeah.
sales background kinda, or that development, like networking kind of. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing, like, well, that would be your crutch if you don't have that in you.
Yeah, 100%. I think too. I think people's pride gets in the way of that a lot too. You know, people's ego, people's pride. Like a lot of people can't admit, like, hey, we had a slow month. Like, I'm sorry, you know, we can't do this month, but maybe 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and that's something that again that we learned early on to just, hey, take ego, take pride out of it. Like, go with the facts, and like our team, we don't tell our team absolutely everything, right? But for the most part, our team knows like exactly what we're doing, like every single month. Sometimes I let them know like last minute, oh hey guys, by the way, tomorrow we're doing this, right? Tomorrow we're changing our booking system, so be ready, right? But a lot of the times ego, like, oh no, I'm the boss, like I'm the one that brings in the money. I can't let like my secrets, you know, be known, or I can't tell everything that I'm doing, which to an extent I get, right? There's some things that may or may not be like proprietary that only you should know. I get that, right? But when it comes to just like day-to-day operations, or like, you know, like, hey, can we fit this in our budget, like, or even get your team's feedback, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's massive too. Like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Like, because maybe they make you see some side of it that you weren't even thinking about before, you know. So definitely putting ego and pride aside when it comes to making those kind of decisions is a massive deal.
How do you feel, like, do you see yourself as like a paycheck sometimes? Like, people see me as a paycheck instead of like me, Dan, as, you know?
Like employee-wise?
Employee or just other people. Like, let's say if we didn't have a build of communication. Because like a little back, and we can get back to it, but I met you like randomly. You were waiting at Glave's line. And you recognized me, and I kind of recognized you. I'm like, and then we just like started talking. But let's say if we didn't, and then like, okay, he's coming up to me like at my business or messaging me DM like, I can do this video, it's this much, and it's kind of like, let's say if you get so many of those, then you start feeling like people just see me like as a paycheck kind of, you know? Do you ever get that feeling sometimes?
No, so we get emails like,
you're good.
We get emails every single day, like marketing emails, dude. Like they'll be like, oh, hey, we noticed that your website looks great, but your SEO sucks, right? Or they'll be like, hey, your SEO's rocking, but you're like, how's your back end, right? Like your reservation's kind of slacking. It's like, what the fuck do you guys know, right? And people are constantly always going to be trying to get money out of you, right? But at the end of the day, it's about building. It is about building those relationships and that in-person, you know, like trust in a way, you know. So I don't want to say like we wouldn't work with anyone like that's remote or online, but to us, like we'd rather keep everything local. And not have to, you know, worry so much about like, you know, if someone's in Utah and they're doing our marketing for us, right? Because we get those kind of inquiries like every single day, whether it's online, social media, through email. But as far as seeing like, and then that's just the nature of being a business owner is people are always gonna see you, like they don't understand the struggles that go behind owning a business, like the day-to-day functions that you have to go through and all the shit that's always in the back of your mind, like, oh, we got this coming up, this company hit us up for this company wants a donation for that, you know, the town wants to see if we can join their event, right? And there's always something happening, but that's just the way it is, dude, you know, like they don't, and it's only going to get bigger as you grow, you know. The more locations you bring in, the more employees you bring in, like the bigger you scale, the more that's going to happen, right? So I think for us, that's just one of those things that's just part of the game, dude. And you just have to be like very selective with what you say yes to and what you say no to. And it's okay to say no, right? A lot of people are going to see you as like a dirtbag or an asshole for saying that you can't do something, but at the end of the day, like they don't understand, like, if by you saying yes, all of this other stuff is gonna take a hit, right? Exactly. Or the potential of something going bad gets greater if you say yes. So, and sometimes you just don't want to work with people, right? Like they're freaking, they're buttholes, or they're rude, or even, dude, it's as simple as like the way they communicate sometimes. Like not even like a hi. It's just like, do you want this? Yes or no? It's like, no, fuck no, you know, like go away. So it all comes down to like a lot of things, right? But approach is definitely, be tactful about it, you know. Don't just be like, hey, fucking pay me. Like, no, dude, definitely go away.
As far as like in person, I rather do in person talking to business owners or clients, just because it's so much easier. Because I get to, you know, feel how you are, and then you get to, you know, I get to be polite, like, hey, what's up? Compared to me, and I struggle with the same thing, like if I'm DMing businesses, like cold DMs, like sometimes I want to say, hey, how's it going? Like, and follow up with, I also do this, so I'm not wasting your time because you're busy, and like you, like, get to the point sometimes. But then it's like, if you do get to the point, it's like,
it comes off as too rushed.
Oh, like, dang, you can't even say good morning or good afternoon. So it's like, you can never win, but it's also the right time. Like, if you would have just messaged them, like, I mean, you can't even pick the right time. You just happen to just write it at that moment, and then I was actually looking for something. Thank God you messaged me. So
100%.
Yeah, man. So tell me a little bit about your background, man. Like, I know that you used to be a sheriff. How was that?
It was cool. It was good.
Well, what got you into that, anyways?
So I always knew pretty much since like my sophomore, junior year in high school that I wanted to go into law enforcement. And so right after high school, I got a few jobs. Right, I started working at. My first job was at Goodwill, like sorting out donations.
You used
And
to get
then-
all the
yeah,
like,
dude. I got some cool stuff. I'm not supposed to, so hopefully nobody from Goodwill ever watches this. But
oh no, I know they. Well,
yeah.
can they get back you at any of this?
I don't
footage?
know, probably
I don't
not,
think
dude.
So. Yeah,
Probably
but like,
not.
so
Maybe.
you were the first people like on hand, and you would just set it to the side.
Yeah. So no, well, yes and no, yes and no. If
Seen
we
all
ever,
the PS2s or
no, dude, we never got anything. I mean, we would get a lot of the things that I didn't know were like antiques, right? Like
Yeah.
antiques that are worth like a lot of money. But over time, I worked there for a year and a half, and I got good at like noticing, like or like realizing, okay, hey, this has like a serial number on it, or hey, this is from like a certain time period, right? So there was a guy. I forget what his name was, dude, but he would always come in for antiques, right? And he would
damn.
flip them online. So he told me, he's like, hey, dude, like if you ever get some good stuff, like look, call me, set it aside, price it fairly. And because the managers had a say in how you price it. There was a standard, like there was a go by,
Yeah.
like DVDs were $199, books were $99, right? And certain things were a certain price. So we had to price it within means, right? But
Definitely.
yeah, he told me like, hey, dude, like you want to make a little bit extra money. I took him up on it once. We got like a really cool fire extinguisher. It was encased and everything, but you can tell it was like from like the 1800s, dude, maybe 1900. Whenever fire extinguishers first came out, that's when it was from. I imagine that era. And I told him like, hey, I called him. I was like, hey, dude, like, this really cool fire extinguisher. Sent him a picture, and sure as shit, within like 10 minutes, he was there. I put it out for like $10, and I think like a week later, he shot me like $50. Who knows how much money he made on it?
Yeah.
But and that was the only time that I worked with someone. I have like a couple of Wolverine like first edition comic books
Oh,
that
wow.
I priced for like $1, and I had my sister come one time and like pick them up. But yeah, that's like to the extent of my not what's the word, my not extortion, but
No, I get you.
whatever
And at
whatever
that time,
word
what,
it is.
the T-shirts were like what, $2-3?
$2-3, dude. Now they're like
$7,
$6-7, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and
suits
then-
used to be like $12-15 for like not for a decent suit. Now it's like fucking $40. It's like,
Yeah,
yo.
it used to. I know thrift shops and Goodwill started changing like their pricing once like thrifting started becoming really
Yeah,
popular.
yeah.
Because then they're like, all these shirts are $7, all of them, except for this one Gap brand that like
Yeah,
we
they-
think
they-
like could be expensive.
They would
That
mark
one's
it up, yeah.
$20.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, so then, I mean, you just take the tag off.
Yeah.
And then, well, this is $7,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like, that's your
Yeah.
rules.
That happens
I
a
mean,
lot.
it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I would always get upset seeing that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
especially
switching
because
prices.
it's donated, right? And the thing is, dude, like, so it's kind of crazy how their operation it's insane, man. Because we get in all the donations, right? So whatever we receive from that store, we take it, we keep, we sort it out, what's good, bad. But even the bad, it doesn't get thrown away. The bad gets put into this massive bin, and then that bin gets shipped to their headquarters in Van Nuys. That bin gets bidded on.
Yeah.
They'll put some good things in there, but mostly it's shit.
Yeah.
And it gets bidded on for a couple $100. People buy it. They do whatever with it. They send it off overseas or whatever. So their operation is massive, dude.
Yeah, I bought a pallet before from like the city industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it work out?
No, I'm like, but I just wanted to try it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll spend $100.
Yeah. Dude, you can't go wrong with $100. You'll at least break even.
And then I'm
you
like,
know?
I'll spend $100, and then like I'm gonna flip it, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, there's nothing in here, not
No.
even for me to even use at my
Yeah,
house.
yeah, dude. It's risky for sure. But yeah, the way they have it down, their operations, it's impressive, dude. Like everything they do. But yeah, so I worked at Goodwill, worked at Subway and In-N-Out at the exact same time.
Oh, wow.
Just because I had a motor, I bought myself
Did
a
you have
motorcycle.
tattoos back then?
No, dude.
They didn't let you?
No.
Okay.
I didn't get my first tattoo. Well, I was 16. I got my first tattoo, but I didn't get sleeved up until I was like 26.
Okay.
Yeah, 28.
Mm.
Yeah, recent. But yeah, dude, worked at Subway, worked at In-N-Out. So I was doing In-N-Out like in the evening from like 3 to 9 or 6 to 10 or whatever it was, and then I go to Subway from like 11 to 5 in the morning, and I just sleep in the middle of the day and just repeat that. I did that for like a year and a half too. After that, that's when I did that like my first 3 years after high school. Right before I turned 21, I applied to LAPD, and I got rejected because I didn't have enough life experience. This is back then when like they could be picky with who they hired because they weren't in need of people.
Yeah.
But I remember that when I applied, when I took the test, they asked like, hey, who here is military? and like one dude raised his hand out of a room of like 40 people, and I was like, damn, like that motherfucker, he did it right, you know, like
Yeah.
did the whole military thing, and now he kind of has an advantage over everyone. So at that moment, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go join the military and just do the reserves, right? So I went into the Marine Corps office like shortly after that, took the ASVAB, and since I knew that I wanted to be a cop, I chose infantry. I chose to be a machine gunner. So I took the test for the LAPD. I want to say it was like March of 2013, and I shipped out to the Marine Corps in November of 2013.
It was off Manchester.
I think
the
so.
test,
Yeah. The ASVAB. Yeah, it's
I
like
failed
that
twice.
2-story building.
I
yeah.
tried to be a cop.
Oh, really?
I failed twice.
Yeah, it's still
I was
intimidating
an
in there,
idiot.
dude.
They're like, yeah, so you're gonna write an essay about like.
Oh, for LAPD.
Yeah, LAPD and
yeah,
off
the
Manchester.
essay.
So
Yeah.
I went. We're in a room full of just guys, and
Yeah.
everyone's like you got 2 hours or something like
Yeah.
that. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna. And I'm not the best essay writer or vocabulary, and I write it in cursive, the whole thing. I write the whole thing in cursive. I don't know why. I'm like, I think that I'll stick out by doing it in cursive. And then I knew for a fact, like I didn't. And now I look back, I'm like, they just threw it away. They're like, we're not gonna read this. This
The
is
fuck
way
is
too
this?
much.
Thomas
like-
Jefferson looking shit.
Yeah, and I don't know why I was thinking, like, I was so naive and young, like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna write it in cursive.
Yeah.
And I tried both times, like, the first was in Riverside, like, on the computer doing multiple, and I failed. And then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let me go to LAPD and try to,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a handwritten thing, but
Yeah.
I tried it
They're
and
different.
I failed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. LAPD does. I don't know if they still do it like that, but they definitely do their tests way different. The Sheriff's Department, San Bernardino, it's multiple choice.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, like the Pella B or something like that is what
Yeah,
it's called.
something like that.
So
So it was a written test, and then you do the physical. So, like,
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
you get to the physical. You have to, like, pass that part
Yeah,
first.
yeah. Nowadays they do like everything in like a day, dude. Like
Wow.
they'll do, you apply.
They need a lot of
Oh
confidence.
yeah, dude. Yeah, you apply, you get a call like the next day. You go in, you take your test, you talk to a background investigator. They start your backgrounds, you would submit your paperwork, and in some cases they'll even have you go do like a physical right there, right then and then. So yeah, it's way different than it was during that time. So yeah, dude, did the whole military thing. Did that, went through boot camp, went through my school of infantry training, and then I got out, and then I started working security. I worked for, in Glendale, that's where like the Disney campus is. So that's where Disney Animation is, and that's where they make all the movies, Marvel was there. So I got a security job there, did that for like a year. And then I got into executive protection. I started working with, because I just met some people through that job, and I started working for YSL, that big boutique brand.
Yeah.
They had a headquarters in downtown Hollywood, so I
Their
just
colognes are good.
yeah, they
their
are
colognes.
expensive, but yeah, they're good. Just started doing that and did that for like a year and a half, and then finally when I turned 24, I was like, you know what, let me give being a cop another shot, because 3 years had gone by during this time since the LAPD up until like Marine Corps, all these security jobs, and I was making good money as an executive protection guy. So I was like, I'm cush, but I still want to be a cop, right? So I applied to the sheriff's department here, and my first try got in, luckily. But that's when they were actually like needing people, dude. My class was like 102
What year was this?
people, 2016.
And they needed people. What was going on at that time?
I think just people retiring. I mean, they were losing crazy people to like other departments. So, and this is kind of like when Trump was going into office. So they were like politicizing the police departments, and cops were bad people. So nobody really wanted to do the job. So they weren't receiving as many applications, you know?
Or there was, I forgot. Like,
something
I Can't
probably
Breathe.
was happening,
I Can't
dude.
Breathe or something like that.
George Floyd was 2020.
No. There was another one before that where
Maybe.
there. Yeah,
There's
I have
always
no
something,
idea.
dude. It comes in cycles.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
there's always something. But
And then,
yeah, dude. So became a cop. I got in. What was it? April of 2016. Went into the academy. Started off in the jails. Did the jails for about a year. Then I went to patrol in Victorville. Patrolled Victorville for 3 years. Got into a little bit of trouble there. That's ultimately what led to my termination. Was got into a good amount of trouble. So I got sent back to the jails for like another year and a half. Got into more trouble there, and finally I was let go after like 7 years.
Was it attitude?
No, well, one, it took me a long time in the military. Like I realized this, that I'm good with like respect, right? I'm good like, hey, if you're my senior, I'm going to show you respect, but you need to give it back, right? And if you don't give it back, or if you come up with like some stupid policy that I don't agree with, like I'm more than likely not going to follow it, because that's going to get me hurt. That's going to get somebody else hurt. It's just outright stupid.
Yeah.
Or you're just creating this rule or whatever this is because for your own ego, right? So you deal with a lot of different personalities, and there's some sergeants, some lieutenants that have no business being in that position, right? They just got promoted because of their time in service.
Wow.
So basically what happened for the sheriff's department, I don't know if I told you this story, but I used to work when I got sent back to the jails for getting in trouble the first time, I was working the protective custody unit, so all like the rapists, the child molesters and all that shit. And there was this problem. I'm pretty sure I could talk. Pretty sure I could talk because it's done, right?
Yeah.
But there was
I don't know the legal part, but
yeah,
you don't have to.
I'm fine. No, I'm
Okay,
fine. I'm fine.
okay.
Yeah. There was an inmate. I'm not going to say his name, but he was just a problematic inmate, right? He was always making false allegations and always stirring the pot in the unit. He was stirring, causing problems. I didn't know this at the time, but he had meth up. He brought meth into the unit, into the facility, and he just wasn't dispersing it the way he was supposed to disperse it. So people were already pissed off with him, right? But basically, what happened is every single unit has an electric shaver. And he took the electric shaver into his cell and he closed his door, and he wasn't supposed to do that because you could dismantle it, you can make a weapon out of it. So I kindly at first asked him, like, hey dude, like, you know you're not supposed to do this, like you need to give it back, right? Otherwise you know what's gonna happen. Like you're causing problems, people are already pissed off at you, like you're gonna get your ass beat, right? But that's ultimately what I ended up telling him in much colorful language. I wasn't recording my audio at the time, but I didn't realize that the audio, every single cell has an intercom, and when the intercom is turned on, it records. So in that recording, it caught me saying, hey, like, dude, like, if you don't give me the razor back, like the next time I open your door, when you come out for your tier time, so you could be amongst your peers, you're gonna get your ass beat, because that's what happens in jail. Like you fuck up, you get your ass beat. I was just stating the obvious. Sure as shit, 15 minutes later, after I talked to him and tell him that, I opened his door because he was supposed to come out, make a phone call, do some other nonsense before he was locked down for the day completely. And an inmate that was like 2 doors down from him goes into his room, supposedly beats him up, right? Supposedly rapes him. And all that happened was he dragged him out of his cell. He was in there for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. He dragged him out of his cell. He dropped him. He walks away. The victim inmate, the one that made the allegations against me, he gets back up. He starts like crawling towards him, like hey, like come on, beat me up, right? The other dude, like he's about to do it, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm a I had the beanbag. I think I had the beanbag. I was like, I'm gonna freaking shoot you with it, and he just like backs up, and we cuff them all, and that was done, right? So ultimately, what happened was, he claimed that I greenlit him, that I told inmates like, hey, if you beat him up for me, like then I'll give you a cut of what the county's going to pay me out, right? Whatever, because the county just pays people out now, no matter what allegations you make, just to avoid litigation and all that.
Crazy.
So he made those allegations. I got put on administrative leave for 2 years. This is 2021. I got put on administrative leave for 2 years. So May of 21 that happens, May 9th, and then 2 years go by of me being at home, like getting paid, and then May 4th of 2023, I was finally terminated for that reason. Basically, they said that because I told them like, hey, you're gonna get your ass beat, and 15 minutes later, it made it look like I set it up, dude. But if you were to read the report, every single inmate, all my partners that were working with me at the time, they all said that was not what happened, that he was just a problem asshole. And he was actually at night, yelling to everyone like, hey, like if you guys agree to this story and say this story, I'll give you money. But because also I had been in trouble before, I've done, people,
are just
dude,
his lawyers. Like,
and so at that point they just saw me as a liability, right? Because I like I said earlier, I'm just not. Being a cop is hard, and there's some things that unfortunately, like violence isn't pretty, right? So there's times when you have to use violence, or you have to use colorful language to get people to do what you need them to do, and people complain, and it is what it is. Like at the time it was good, but now because it happened in a certain way, like they're like, oh no, they're looking at it in hindsight, right? You could have done this differently, you could have done that, but in the moment, Like it's like, hey, I'm not trying to get beat up by 6 fools right now,
Yeah,
right?
you're
Like
looking after
if I taste 2 of them or whatever, like it is what it is, right? I'm showing like, hey, I mean business. Like I'm gonna go home at the end of the day. So
How hard was that for you to like, separate that from your personal life? Because it's probably like, would you develop like trust issues like that, like when
amongst
people
like
come up
friends,
to you, yeah, like and
yeah,
you
yeah,
kind of already
dude,
like,
yeah,
I've been down here, like F that.
yeah. Wait, how so? Like
I would
with the
say,
community or?
how, like how did it affect you? Like since then, but like I was trying to be a good person, and I got screwed over by doing that.
No, dude, because there's fuck. I mean, I'll say it, dude. There's things that, how can I word this? I don't want to say something I shouldn't say.
Yeah.
I believe that me getting let go was for something else other than what actually happened, right? So there's times when you're on patrol, like, not that you do shit that you shouldn't do, right? But like, for example, I'll use a light example. You're driving without a seatbelt, and you're on a pursuit, and you're doing like 100 miles an hour down the freeway, and like you're blasting Britney Spears on the radio, right? Just being a dummy, right?
Yeah.
Like those things are obviously frowned upon, right? And so even though like they're probably, that's not what I would have gotten fired for, but an accumulation of like small little things like that ultimately led to like me being terminated.
I get that.
I don't think I got fucked over. Could I potentially like file a lawsuit, try to get my money back, and try to get my job back? Yeah. Would I win? More than likely, because there's people that have done way worse, and just because they're female or because they identify a certain way or they're a certain color, right? They just get a slap on the wrist and shoved under the rug, and then let's carry on.
So you're just trying to let it like.
Yeah, dude. Let bygone. Like, dude, I still have massive love for the sheriff's department. Like, I still, so we just sponsored the Apple Valley softball team.
Okay.
We got them their uniforms. We paid their registration.
Yeah.
Because we want to give back, right? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, my career with the sheriff's department was short-lived, but it took something like that for me to realize that being a cop, like, although it was cool, it was fun, like I got to live my glory days and like got to do all the cool stuff I wanted, the foot pursuits, the car chases, right? Yeah. Like that's not what I wanted to do. Like I realized that early on. I'm like, man, this kind of sucks. Like I'm away from family 12 to 16 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week just to be able to make a decent income, right? And that's not really what I thought my life was gonna turn out to be. So in a way, like it's kind of a blessing in disguise,
And when did you have your first kid?
I had my first kid. He was born 4 months before I got put on admin leave. So he was born December of 2020.
How did that
yeah, it was scary, dude. It was scary. Like what was paid off?
Well, I'm saying like they gave you money, right?
Yeah, I mean I was still collecting my paycheck, but I mean with cops, dude, like it's sad to say, but cops don't get paid well, right? Especially with the cost of California living. Yeah. Like, even in the desert, dude. Like most of your money's going to bills. It's going to your apartment or your house, your car, right? And cops, we get sucked into like this lifestyle, right? Like we all have to drive badass trucks, and we all have to have like all these cool guns, right? That cost a shit ton of money that we have no business buying, right? Yeah. And we have to have the boat, and we have to have the side by side, and we have to have the RV, right? So it's very easy to get sucked into massive debt as a cop, and as a young cop too, because you see like all these cops, people that are doing it, and you're like, oh, I got to do that too, right? To be accepted or to be cool. Luckily, the only thing that I ever bought was my truck, right? So and I was close to buying a freaking boat and a side by side, but luckily, like I was already looking at them, dude, and shortly after that is when I got put on leave. Jeez. But what I'm getting to is that a lot of the times cops rely on overtime, right? So not having that overtime come in, like those extra $1,000 a paycheck or whatever it is, $1,000 a month, like takes a massive hit, dude. Luckily, like all of my shit was covered through just like the paychecks I was receiving, but it's scary, and I didn't at the time. I did not think that I was going to get fired. I thought that they were just going to let time pass because the inmate, he's a dirtbag, dude. He's a rapist. He raped a kid, right? He beats on women. He fights cops. He's a dirtbag. Yeah. So they're like, at the end of the day, it was his word versus mine. But I think just because I had like a track record of doing some dumb things that they ended up choosing
lawyers, they
his
just
word.
Use all that.
And unfortunately nowadays, dude, like that's just how it is. Like they take dirtbag word, their word, not dirtbags, but convicts' words. And they take him for what it is opposed to the deputy, right? The deputy or the police officer will always get scrutinized. and the criminal will always just get a slap on the wrist. Dude, that's just California, unfortunately, dude.
And you were
So-
living up here, or where were you
Yeah,
living at?
living up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long
yeah.
have you lived up here?
4 years.
4 years? Okay.
4 years, yeah.
2019?
Yeah, we bought May of 20. Everything happens in May.
Yeah.
Yeah, May of 2019.
And that was when during COVID, right? So
We
everyone's
we bought like a year before COVID. Yeah, because COVID was what, March of 2020. Yeah, so.
Well, you were what, 21 is when you got released, or that?
22.
22.
22,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it was already past. COVID
Yeah,
then.
yeah, it was well past COVID. So that's kind of like, oh, but yeah, so what, I mean, I guess I kind of left this out, but during my time on admin leave, like, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm at home, I've got all this time on my hands, like, why don't I just like try to see if, in case I do get fired, like what's gonna be my fallback, right? And I thought about being like, maybe I could just buy a truck, go be a truck driver, tour the states, like make a shit ton of money, because at that time, like COVID, like the truck drivers were making like $10,000 a load, like it was insane. So I was like, I'm gonna just do that. But then I was like, you know what, like I don't want to be far away. Like I just want to be home as much as I can with my son, with my wife, and do something local, right? And then my wife and I, we always kind of wanted to start like a business. We always wanted to do like a bar, you know, or something along those lines. But then we didn't realize like how expensive it is and what goes into it. And especially up here, like this isn't the most like the best community to do a bar.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah,
It will
yeah,
get.
yeah.
I believe that it will be. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But right now, like bars are up here are known to be like kind of chaotic and
Yeah.
at times violent. So we were like, what else can we do we can still do some alcohol, maybe some food, and just like entertainment, right? So I don't know if it was like Instagram or YouTube or how we stumbled across axe throwing, but I was like, hey, this looks kind of cool. And I took a nosedive into axe throwing, started looking into like what it costs to build a venue, what it costs to operate, how much can you potentially make. And then once we figured that out, we were like, all right, hey, and this makes sense. Like, let's go look at some places, right? So we checked out a few in the area, mostly in LA. And we were like, hey, like, this is actually really cool. People are making money doing this, like, and people are having a good time doing it too, right? And you get to bring like a form of entertainment to a community that doesn't really have anything.
Yeah.
So luckily with our house, we had some equity in it, and we had a little bit of savings too. So we were like, screw it, let's just go all in. We'll take out 80% of that equity, we'll wipe out our savings, and we'll just put it in here and just freaking pray for the best, dude. So that's exactly what we did. So in November of 21 is when it was like 6 months after I put on admin leave, we went to go get our license. We found this place February of 22, signed the lease March of 22, and then finally opened up July of 22. So full year now.
Congrats, by the
Yeah,
way.
thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a rough ride, dude. We opened this place up. I don't think besides my wife and maybe one friend, we opened this place up with like $800 in our bank account, dude. We had no way of paying payroll. We have no way of paying rent. We were like, you know what? Like, we're here. This is what we have, and it is what it is, dude. So luckily, we opened July 15th. From July 15th to August 1st, which is when payroll and rent was due, we made like $9,000, and we were like, all right, like this might fucking work, right? We covered all our expenses, and we had a couple $100 left over, and we just kept repeating that cycle, dude. And so far we're here, dude. So
What I'm like,
it's worked out.
what
somehow.
I'm really, how do you say it? Like glad, and like I think it's good that your wife was on board with it, because not a lot of couples are. It's usually one or the other. Like, this is my vision. Like, try to support me, even though you don't see the vision.
It's rough, dude. Yeah. In the beginning, she was like, no, she didn't think it was like the right thing, because she was like, axe throwing, like I don't know anything about, and I didn't know anything about axe throwing either. I was like, I've never even held an axe. I don't think, right? Like, let alone throw one, like that's unsafe as fuck, right? But then you do the research and you see the videos and you talk to people, and then like you get to experience yourself, and then you have a completely different shift of perspective. And that's what happened with her. Like the entire time, probably the few months we were planning it, she was like, no. And then we finally visited a venue that was super nice out in Northridge. And she was like, okay, like I'm in, like this is cool. It was lively in there. It was super nice, super safe, right? They teach you, how to properly throw it, and like, hey, don't be an asshole about throwing the axe. And they teach you like the right way. And then we were like, we're, as long as we implement good safety techniques and a good, just overall good service, like we're gonna be okay, right? And that's what we did, dude. So, but in the beginning, it wasn't like we both clicked at the same time and we were like, oh yeah, let's do it. No, it you know.
So what motivated you to continue to, push even though she was not on board at first? Because you get a lot of people that, like, I don't see it, and then they get discouraged, like,
Yeah.
okay, well, no one believes me, well, I'll just not do it.
Yeah.
So, like, what was, like, pushing you mentally? Like,
Yeah. I think one, because to be honest with you, I wasn't even like 100% like, hey, is this the right move, right? It's like, is this just like is this like a seasonal thing, or is this gonna last, right? So, and so I wanted to test it out for myself, but I think what kept me going was just like, hey, we can't completely rule this out until we try it for ourselves, right? Like, we need to go experience it and understand it before we can say, okay, hey, no, this is not going to work, right? So I think because neither of us had experienced it and thrown axes and been to a venue, I was just, hey, let's go try it. Look at this, look at that. Like, look at these numbers, look at this cost to build, look at overall cost of operations, look at potential revenue, and like the numbers add up, right? And so we were like, let's just go see it. And then once we went to go experience it ourselves, we like I said, we were just like, all right, we're sold. Like, this is it, you know. And at that time, there was nothing up here, right? And this is what was it, like middle June, July, August of 21. So there was nothing up here like that. There was one in Yosemite, and there was one in Upland, but yeah, that was one of the biggest like drivers too of like that. Hey, like, this will work, because whenever you talk to anyone up here, the one thing they say always, there's nothing to do up here.
Yeah.
Right. You have to go down the hill. You have to drive an hour to go even find a decent bar. Right. So there's massive potential up here, and I think that's why we've been fortunate to surpass our first year and hopefully, keep going.
Yeah, there's a community out here.
Yeah,
It's like,
100%.
aside, because you had mentioned, like, aside from like, I don't want to go drive down the hill, it's more like, I just want to go here because it helps the community out.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
a lot of people, it's small enough where people still believe that, where it's like,
Yeah.
I'd rather put money into your pockets instead of
Down the
someone
hill.
else, or
Yeah.
the community's
100%.
pockets.
Yeah.
So there is a sense of community,
Yeah.
because I hear that a lot with a lot of business owners.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, people would much rather shop at a mom and pops if they're able to than like a larger corporation, right?
Yeah.
Like, we try our best when it comes to getting coffee, right? It's just, unfortunately, like Starbucks, they're just so convenient, so fast. It's just like, and they're everywhere, dude. Whereas like, if you want, go to Six Beans or Native or Tanyan, they're a drive, right? They're a drive. So, but they're doing it, you know. And from what I hear, they're crushing it. So
No, they are, and they do need to have one on this corner.
yeah, they have one. So Six Beans actually they have a trailer behind the hospital. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
cool. Yeah.
Then
yeah.
they got
Yeah,
a
they've
good
got
connect
they've got
right there at the hospital.
Yeah, they've got like they have a good spread, dude. And they're building another. They're building two more actually.
Yeah, we've seen it off Bear Valley. I don't know, off Main Street, where the Iberia truck
Made in
is at.
Cottonwood, and they're building another one on I think Bear Valley and Topaz.
Yeah, they're growing pretty.
Yeah,
I'm like, what
they're
the
killing it,
heck?
dude.
Like,
They're killing it, and that's
everywhere.
a dream, dude. You know,
You
it's
know
just
them?
no, I haven't met them. I've heard a lot of good things about them, but I haven't met them.
Yeah, no, I haven't met them
I haven't
either.
met
I'm
them. But from the surface level, it seems like they're doing great. You know, so kudos to them.
And it's also cool, like when I see you, you're connecting with a lot of these other business owners, like Jacob at the gym. Like, you guys, it seems like you guys are all like, you guys all know each other.
Yeah.
The other Clave and the Pancake Plug, it's like,
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to, dude. It's just like, it's like you said, community, like supporting each other, because we don't all need to hate each other, right? As much as like, because like I said earlier, there's a lot of ego involved in being a business owner and a lot of pride, and you tend to shut people out and not be open to like to suggestions and outside critique. So we wanted to make sure that like, hey, how can we do our thing, but at the same time provide something to the community that they will enjoy, and also be able to work with other businesses that not only can they help us, but we can help them, right?
Definitely.
So I think that's ultimately what it boils down to is having a good relationship with everyone, having a good service, and just working together, dude. Because there's no need for everyone to be butting heads and like talking shit all the time, dude. There's enough of that in the world, right? Like, we don't need community, division as well. Like, if everyone could just come together and support one another, be kind to one another, like that'll make massive changes. Yeah, it's a ghost. We have a ghost here. Let me go shut this off real quick.
you think you guys for reals have a go, or you're just
No. This thing resets. So
Yeah, well, we can end it whenever, man. We don't have to. I know you have to get that refrigerator taken care of. So yeah, we can end it whenever, man.
It's up to you, bro. If you have any, I know we haven't talked about like the whole community aspect of things.
We
but-
haven't. I thought we
Well,
did.
a little bit. I
What
think.
would you want to say? Yeah.
I think that that there's, like I said earlier, there's massive opportunity here for businesses. You see all the construction, you see all the development going up, and I think the high desert is just, you know, we said that there isn't really a place to put a bar. We said yet, and I 100% agree with that. Like the Victorville, Adelanto specifically, they have like a really bad stigma to being known as like the violent areas, right? But I would say being a cop and working Victorville for 3 years, I would say 95% of people in Victorville are good people, and it's just 5% that are like it's just bad apples, right?
Yeah, I don't
And
wanna-
it's hard to see that because it seems like there's more bad than good, and especially everything in the media and you know the news outlets, it's always bad. Fatal here, shooting there, rape here. It's like, fuck, dude, is there any hope? But there is, dude, and we see it every day here, dude.
Yeah.
Like we've met so many good people just through here that like it's super. Like we're very optimistic about the high desert and the projection that it's going towards. BNSF is going to be massive, right? The railroad they're building up here.
Yeah.
That's going to connect to Vegas. That's going to be huge, dude. I don't know if you keep up with like any kind of like real estate stuff, but there's massive plots of land being bought out, like tens of millions of dollars worth of land being bought out in North Apple Valley. There's lots
For what though? Warehouses?
For warehouses, for residential, for all kinds of things, dude.
Okay.
You got the Silverwood project kicking off. They're supposed to put like 20,000 homes out in Silver, like in between Hesperia and Silverwood.
Yeah.
They're already grading the land, and so it's cool to see, dude. It's really. I mean, we've only been up here 4 years. I've been working up here for like the last 7, but it's nice, and there's a word I'm looking for. It's like I'm just optimistic about like the desert, dude.
Well,
you know?
you see it like firsthand because of the word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like definitely
Yeah.
like, oh, this person, because you're actually, you know, you're here physically
Mm-hmm.
instead of my employees are telling me this. Like you're actually here meeting these people, knowing them by name.
Yeah.
And then this person recommended me, and then like, oh yeah, how is that person doing? It's like you see it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
I remember doing a ride along. That's like how I really wanted to do it back then, and doing a ride along right here at the Victorville
At
department.
Victorville. When'd you do it? What year? Do you remember?
2013 or 14.
Okay.
One of those years.
You remember
it was
who was
pretty
with?
fun, man. He was like a Mexican guy, or he looked kind of Chinese. I don't know what he was.
Was he short?
Yeah,
Reyes, Ramos?
I think so. Like it
Yeah.
sounds almost familiar.
Yeah.
He was. You have to have like a certain, like way you carry yourself. You know, pulling people over and
Yeah.
and you know you have to take that home, and also I see like sometimes it can consume you because you're just like
Yeah.
always stressed every single time.
Yeah.
And this was before what was going on, like
Yeah.
this past 3 years, you know, like how they make the cops look bad. So it's like
Yeah.
you're already stressed enough by doing all this stuff. But it was pretty fun, you know. You get to see, at least being a cop, you get to see firsthand, like, I don't want to say the negative parts, but like you get called up on the bad times in people's lives.
Yeah, and that's the majority of
And
it, dude.
that's all you kind of see is that.
You go to everyone's worst day,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, yeah.
And it's shitty, and it does take a toll on you, right? And we see it here. Like, I'm not this crazy outgoing, like super, you know, I'm friendly, but I'm not like this joyful, like big smile on my face all the time, right? But when we're super supportive, like the military, police here, and when you see like a cop come in, you know they're cops, like because they just walk in like. You know, it's like, hey,
With
bro,
their
you,
big
you can,
rays,
you're not,
their
yeah,
big
with the
sunglasses.
Oakleys and shit, like behind their head. Yeah, I did that.
And
but
with their t-shirts.
yeah, dude, they're always wearing like black shirts and jeans and Vans. You know, they got their fucking G-Shock or their iWatch. You got to look to them, and you know they're cops. But yeah, dude, you always carry that, and it sucks because that unfortunately that's what leads to like a lot of cops. Like, you know, there's a high suicide rate amongst cops and military people, and you know, it's because of stress of the job.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just unfortunately the way it is. You know, and I don't think departments do a good enough job of like providing outlets, you know, towards that. Like they offer some services, right? But it's not enough, dude. You know, for all the shit you experience, like, dude, you see dead bodies mangled on the road. You see babies, you know, that got slept on at night, you know, and at the time I didn't have kids, right? So I was like, all right, well, cool. Like this sucks, but I mean, You know, it is what it is. But now thinking back on it, I'm like, man, being a dad and being a cop, like it's a whole different kind of like stress, dude. Because then you can't help but just picture your family or your kid in that situation. You're like, fuck, dude. So then it just amplifies all the emotions, dude. It's just an emotional freaking all day. Highs. One call you're going to a, you know, it's a pursuit with a felony suspect, has a gun, right? And the next call, it's a baby not breathing, right? So it's just constant emotional battles that I think that law enforcement just needs to get, and it might be picking up now. I don't keep too much in touch with like what's going on now, but I mean.
Yeah, or getting calls where, come talk to my daughter to not leave her house, to not run away.
That's the stuff I don't miss, dude. Those dumb
like,
calls or like neighbor disputes, like this person's dog peed and took a shit on my lawn and they didn't pick it up. Like, pick it up. Like, don't call 911 for that. Pick it up. Like, it's not that hard. Put a fence around your yard. Like, I'm sorry, you know, there's nothing that I can do. Like, that's not a crime. Is it not polite? Are they an asshole? Yeah, probably. But I can't take them to jail for just being an asshole, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Being on a ride along, you know, opened my eyes like, oh, shit, you know, they're just a normal guy. They have to deal with these common problems, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, after, like, when there would be a cop behind me, like, I didn't have to stress or anything. I'm like, he's probably not even paying attention to me, honestly. He's just on his phone, probably.
Yeah.
Or something, I don't know.
It's because we're taught at a young age, like, the police are, hey, if you don't listen, they're going to get you, right? And so that constant reminder is always running through your head. But once you really, like, sit down with the cop or go on the ride along with the cop and you realize, like, hey, they're just doing a job, dude. Some of them are just out there giving tickets, right? That's just their job, to give out tickets. But the majority of them are there to just go call to call and help wherever they can, you know?
I feel like they should have a program, like, you know, you got to go to jury duty, but you go on ride along.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Because then that will open up
a lot of
everyone's
people's
eyes. Where they're like,
yeah, a lot of people. Unfortunately, like that's not politically correct right now, right? It's just that cops are weaponized and they're made out to be bad people.
Yeah.
In reality, they're just dudes that felt like they wanted to work for the community and give up basically their lives for a certain community, you know? So I still, being a cop, being an ex-cop now, like I will always tip my hat to them, dude, because it takes a special kind of person. Like, you kind of be a little bit crazy, dude, to run into, you know, a burning house or like towards some gunfire and so, yeah, man.
When you see these cop movies, like the last question about the cops, and then we'll talk about the future for the axe throwing. When you see these movies, like, is there a favorite one that you have, or they're all just BS? End of Watch, specifically.
Everyone always thinks of End of Watch. It's very Hollywood. Yeah. It's very Hollywood. But what I really liked about End of Watch was that brotherhood that you build with your partner, right? Because even though, so we ride one man in the sheriff's department, LAPD, which is where that movie is based off, is two men. They're like your family, right? That's your brother, that's your sister, and so that's real, right? And I think they did a really good job at showing like that. Hey, these dudes we go out on dates and we go out to have fun and we, you know, have a family at home and we go to quinceañeras and shit too, you know, like just because we're cops and we take people to jail, like doesn't mean we're like these assholes that like are just robots, right? Yeah. Which is eventually what policing is going to come down to, I think, is just AI with robots and guns and no emotions and no judgment, no human judgment. And it's just like, hey, you littered to 1,000 days in jail.
Yeah, see that. Some people see that like, that's what we need, a person that can handle the stress. Yeah. But then it's like, it's a slippery slope where, all right, well, now we have the robots everywhere. What are you going to do once we mandate another mask, for instance, and then you're not wearing your mask and you say no? Like, how are you going to protest? Like, send the robot easy. Like, you're nobody at this point.
It's an interesting time we're living in, dude. Because who knows how that's going to play out.
Definitely. And I try not to get into it, but sometimes
that's a whole...
You have to make an example, like, to that extent. Yeah, where it's like, shit, you're right.
Yeah, we could talk about hours on that subject,
and just get upset. And I'm like, same thing, being political or getting into all that stuff. It's like, you see people stress about people that they've never met and see on TV, or they have no control over any action. It's like, just worry about your day-to-day, whatever you do, and the people you're around.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, what were you getting?
No, nothing.
So what's the future with the axe throwing for your...
Future for this place.
What's the dream or the goal for you?
So overall, our goal for the high desert is to just provide entertainment up here, right? Provide things to do for families, for couples, for everyone, right?
No.
In addition to axe throwing, there are other avenues that we want to like dive into, like just kids entertainment. An indoor playground would be awesome. I think there's a massive need for one of those up here. You know, indoor go-karting, that's a big one.
I'm
right?
surprised that you don't even see
You
any
don't,
of this
dude.
stuff,
You don't.
man.
But it just requires shit ton of money, dude.
That's
shit
what
ton
it
of
is?
money. Yeah, it's a lot
To
of money.
build the warehouse or just to?
No, there's some warehouse. There's some spots that are available, specific like over there by the mall, which is like kind of perfect because you're centrally located.
Or off I Avenue.
Or off I, or even off Main, right? There's a few like big vacant buildings in that area, off of like Main, like, you know, and I.
But the equipment and installing it?
It's expensive.
Okay.
Mad money, dude. So, but that's you know, long term. Short goal right now, I would say the next like 5 years. Continue to grow this. Hopefully build a second location, ideally in a city that has more tourism. Because here solely, and being in Apple Valley, we rely a lot on the community support, right? So we don't get a whole lot of tourists here. So I think the next location should be in an area where not only has a good sized population, but also has a lot of tourists during the day and on weekends, right? Because then that's just going to help expedite the grow process, right? So and then also add food and basically a full bar with a limit, because we don't want, you know, and people that are drunk throwing axes, right? So we have a pretty good like screening process here. Like, hey, if we feel like you're under the influence or you're drunk, like, hey, you're not throwing, dude. I had a lady one time come in like plastered, and she was trying to take out her debit card, and she was drunk as shit, and she like missed, and she hit her hand, and I was like, imagine if you had an axe in your hand. Like, I'm sorry, but you like cannot throw in here.
Yeah.
And she was nice, and she was like, oh, just come when I'm sober, and she left.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so just continuing that, and family, right? Just my kids are 2 and 10 months, so helping them turn into, they're both boys, so raising 2 little men in this weird time is stressful, you know. So
I got 2 girls, man.
Yeah.
4 and 2,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and I have another boy on the way.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm like, yeah.
Congrats, dude.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, man, like just seeing what, you know, I'm trying to raise my daughters, right?
Yeah.
So I have it's like I wouldn't say it's like a theory, but like I have something where it's like, I want to, like, educate people, like, you know how you have to have, you know, parents, like be a dad, and you have to physically be there, show your daughter what it's like to be a man, and you know, how do you say it? So they have, I wouldn't say high standards, but they know like when they're choosing
How they need to be
someone else.
treated, right? How they need to be, what they need to look for in a man once they're of that age. Yeah, that makes 100% sense.
So physically, yes, everyone can agree on that.
Yeah.
Also, you have to also be a digital dad, where it's like, so you do that and you also have to educate them about the importance of, not the importance, but teach them about like social media.
Yeah, dude.
Because if you don't, then aside from not being a physical dad, like that's good, then they're gonna get the attention on social media, OnlyFans, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So if you teach them, like, yes, you can get attention, but there's ways to monetize it without having
to show your butt cheeks
show sex
online. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like you can monitor, and for me, coming from experience, like, yeah, just by following my passion, by, you know, doing video content.
Yeah.
Aside from doing business like videos, I make my own content where I just fuck around and just like make people laugh, or you know, I don't know if you've seen the other like content that we make where we're just like joking around.
Yeah, 100%. That's the best content, dude, because it's just so candid and so like relatable that you know, that's I love it. Yeah.
So yeah, like just you can monetize that by just being creative, whether it's being
humor,
drawing, throwing axes. If you're the best, like,
Yeah.
axe throwing, people will pay you to teach them or send you. Like if they're from another state, you might hire that person. Like, come out here and, you know, be the whole weekend. We'll pay you for just being here, because they know like you're gonna bring people here.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
being a digital
Influencing.
dad and influencer
Yeah.
pretty much. Being a digital dad and being a physical dad.
Yeah.
It's like something where like I'm starting to like I need
Find
to
that
be-
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people aren't even like considering like
The digital side.
the digital side about being a parent and educating them about it. It's like, as long as I can get them away from the laptop or limit their time, it's like you have to educate them like how to also leverage social media.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
4 and 2.
Okay, so you have 4-year-olds of getting close to that age where she's like on an iPad and
No.
like, probably not yet. Okay.
Well, not as much. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, but like it's Cocomelon basic.
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. But it really is like it's very limited.
Yeah, that's one thing that we're proud of as parents, is that like our kid isn't that kid that's like he doesn't know how to navigate a phone, right? Like all he looks at is his pictures. He loves looking at his pictures, right? But that's it. Like he won't be on YouTube, or we're not just plopping a phone. We're out at dinner, like for him to play a game. Like we're not that we're against the technology side of it. It's just that we know that once we introduce that, it's going to be very hard to break him out of that. And I believe that a lot of the times that's what kind of causes that social awkwardness in kids, is like they're so consumed into like this digital life that they forget how to interact in the real world. And so that's a fine line that you were talking about, that it's just finding that balance of like, hey, like you can do this, but watch out for this, but also know this, you know? So it's stressful, dude. It's stressful.
And for me, I'm not against it. My wife is, so I'm trying to convince her, like, to show her, like, yeah, you know, it's okay. Eventually, once they're at that age, like, if we do let them, it's like, you know, maybe do it for a creative outlet instead of like just post, I'm over here, like let's hang out or stuff. What was I gonna say? But as far as like not having them on the tablet now, it's like it's just because I rather spend time with them physically. Like let's go play, or if 100%. We're at a dinner, hey, what do you want? Let me color with you, instead of like be on your iPad so I can just be on my phone, or I can talk to my wife.
That's huge too, dude.
So it's like being socially conscious, like. Aside from being kids, you already know, like with your wife and my wife too, it's like you have to give your wife attention. Yeah. And you gotta also give the kids attention without you going crazy about work or this person needs to come here, I'm having a problem with this. And I mean, if you think about that, it's like, well, you're not giving me attention. You're supposed to like separate work from family, and it's like, it's kind of hard to do that, dude. Especially if you're running the business. Yeah, it is. And I don't think anyone has the secret of how to like overcome that. It's just finding whatever works for you and the family, and it's all. I think what it boils down to is just constant communication, right? Yeah, definitely. Because that's the secret. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. It's constant communication, dude. Because if you're always operating in the dark, or you're not, you know, letting your spouse know like what's going on, or if she's not involved in like in some way, shape, or form in what you're doing, like that's what causes that tension and ultimately leads to, you know, divorces and bad marriages. And I do have that problem not communicating like to an extent, but sometimes I wouldn't say as a man, but just for me, like I'm like, well, it's bothering me, but that's something that it's internal. Really needs to know. Exactly. And I feel like I did the same thing. And then when I tell her eventually, because she notices like, oh, what are you bothered by? And I'm like, it's really nothing. And then when I say like, that thing was bothering me, she's like, well, that was the answer what I was trying to get. And it's like, well, I didn't even know to even tell you that. Like, I didn't think that was okay to open up to you. That's one thing. I'm lately it's been weird, dude, but that's been happening a lot, dude. Like she'll tell me like, hey, what's wrong? And I'd be like, nothing. And she's like, no, like you need to spill it out like right fucking now. And I'd be like, oh, you know, it's just my dad told me this, or you know, I saw this and I was just thinking about like kids or something, you know. But yeah, I think just as men, we just need to put down that barrier and just be more open and more, because we take it as like complaining, and we take it as bitching, and we take it as like being soft, you know, and we just have to find like, it's your wife at the end of the day, dude, you know. Or it's like, well, it doesn't really, it's kind of counterintuitive, kind of like, well, it doesn't really bother me, that's why like no one needs to know. But then it's like, it really is bothering me, that's why I'm acting like this. And my wife should be knowing. I usually get vulnerable after I smoke. Like when I smoke, that's when like my ego and everything gets low, and then I'm like, fuck, that was bothering me. Like that's why my wife is upset, or that's why she thinks like I'm kind of like not opening up, because like all because of me not even opening my fucking mouth. Smoke weed? Yeah. Okay, yeah. You know what's funny is that I started taking edibles recently, like just a little bit, like a little baby bite of like a gummy bear, just to calm down at night, like, you know, micro, like and then just watch something on TV or whatever, get like some small little computer work done, dude. And same thing, dude. I'll be working and then I'll just like lose all motivation, and then she'll be like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, and then that's when it all comes out. It's usually when I'm like a little high, you know. Get you. But that's crazy, dude. Yeah, my wife, she knows. Like every time I open up to her, she's like, "Oh, did you smoke? Or did you like microdose like on mushroom or whatever?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And she's like, "Because that's the only time you ever talk to me. Like, why don't you ever talk to me?" And I'm like, "It's because I don't ever pay attention. I think it's not important, but and it's so crazy. Weird. It's crazy how that works though too. Because now when like you're not high, when you're not smoking or whatever, like you become more aware of it, you know. And so it almost becomes easier in a way to. Yeah, where you're not having to be addicted or rely on that. That same thing. So like I'm like, I know there's a balance where it's like I only do it so I can find the answers, and that's it. Yeah. But yeah, man, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, dude. I won't take too much of your time. I don't know. I'll help you out if you need to set up anything. Yeah, no, it's just turning this stuff on, dude, and then we're
rocking and rolling, bro.
Yeah,
so.
man, it's pretty cool, bro.
Yeah.
Like I see you in the community. Like all the businesses are always here. You should find a way to get Robert out here like all the time with his taco stand.
See, we thought about that, dude, but we would feel bad for next door because they sell food, and we signed this lease with, in a way, with an agreement that we wouldn't sell food.
I get you.
So the only time that we can do that is Sundays. But unfortunately, a lot of catering companies or businesses that sell food don't like to work Sundays. Like they like to take Sundays off.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work out. We've tried it. We've tried doing it a few times with some local food trucks, but it just doesn't work out. So, but I mean, it'll come, dude. We're early
What do
on.
they sell next door?
Sushi. Yeah, it's a sushi
Oh,
restaurant.
that's when you said sushi. I was like,
Yeah. Sushi's
You're
next door
oddly
to us.
specific when I first saw you. You're like, yeah, and sushi. I was like,
Yeah.
Who the hell is
So,
he talking-
Pollo Loco and
Who's he
Jack in the
talking
Box
to?
I know can go suck a big one. But
yeah, fuck
sushi,
that.
like he's a super. The owner's there all the
The
time,
sushi's
dude.
good?
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's
right
a
now,
good dude.
they're what, this happy hour or
I don't know if they have happy hour, dude. They're pretty fairly priced though. I
you have
think.
to sit down or you can take it
No, you
to
can take to go.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll probably drop by.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it's good, but then I'm not like a big sushi connoisseur, so.
Same, but Roman is that they were eating sushi
That's right, yeah.
before. That's
Yeah,
all
that's
I was.
right.
He asked me, and I'm like, fuck, by the time I'm done with this, like
Yeah,
it's probably
and-
gonna be warm.
and
I'm
eat
not
it,
gonna
yeah.
want it. But that's
Yeah.
cool. I'm gonna check it out right now.
No, they're good, dude. They're good.
All right,
so.
man. Well, thank you. I
Yeah, bro.
appreciate it,
Thank
and
you.
I'm glad you set time and
Yeah, man.
made it
Appreciate you hitting me up, and it's cool. Anytime.
Anytime, hang
dude.
out more. You're actually
Anytime.
pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. I'm not all weird, huh?
Well, I wasn't assuming, but I was like, oh yeah.